Welcome to Heart, where we break the silence, bridge the gaps, and bring real conversations about mental health to the forefront. I'm your host, Lee Yaffe, founder and director of The Long Short Road. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Heart. Thank you for being here. Let's start out with taking a breath together. If you are able to, please go ahead and put one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. I did a pre-breath there. Let's do a breath together now. In through your nose and out through your mouth, and really let yourself take your time with how you inhale and exhale. You do not need to rush through this process. Maybe this is the first time that you're giving yourself permission to catch yourself and breathe today. So here we go. In through your nose and out through your mouth. Okay. Tonight's show is really a message for parents and caregivers. Obviously, I think that the messages that I'm going to be sharing here are important and necessary for everyone. This is, though, going to be an episode geared towards parents. Parents, I'm speaking to you. I've been running our warm line for unofficially about 9 years. Like long before I was running the Long Short Road or working for the Gale Charitable Foundation, probably about like 3 years before any of that stuff really manifested into me, like starting to teach suicide prevention education and getting trained. I was getting calls from people of all walks of life who knew that I was passionate about suicide prevention and helping people in crisis and needed like to know what to do because, you know, why would you ever know what to do in a suicide crisis until you're in it? Like, God forbid, that's not something that we necessarily prepare or plan for, right? And so over the years, I have spoken to hundreds of parents, of all ages and stages, from young children to adult children, navigating a variety of challenges with their children or, separately, together, etc. And often over the years, I will see this pattern emerge in which a teen, especially when I see this with teens or young adults in their 20s, when a teen has struggled with a significant challenge, so an eating disorder, self-harm, suicidality, a diagnosis of a very challenging mental health condition, all of those things, and they're doing the work despite how hard it is and in spite of how hard it is. And things are not necessarily changing in the way that they would like them to. So they're putting in the work and healing is not taking root. So actually, before I say what I'm going to say, I just want to make a caveat that healing takes time. It's very messy and it's not linear. I really wish it was. Trust me when I tell you that I wish I could have retired from crisis management on day 2 of doing this or day 1 of doing this. Not because I don't love helping people and I see the need, but like also OMG, it's just so much and it's so heavy, right? Often when a teen is in crisis or when a teen is struggling, parents will call me because they want to figure out what's the next best step for their child. I've tried this thing, I've tried that thing. They've gone to this therapy, they've done that treatment, they've ridden horses, they've done plant medicine. Why aren't they getting better? This is not a blanket statement. And I truly believe, truly, and I recognize that this might be triggering, but I'm okay with that because triggers aren't bad. They are meant to alert us to being curious about the trigger. If this triggers you, ask yourself why. One of the biggest gifts that we can give to our children, one of the biggest blessings we can give them in life is taking the time to do our inner work, make sure that we have the tools to be resilient, that we have the tools to ride the waves of life, and that we can then our healing and our ability to hold that space and be resilient and be emotionally regulated is the biggest gift we can give to our children. Because our healing has a ripple effect on other people. It's not something we see right away, but I see it. It's possible. I know that it can happen. That when a parent does their healing and their work, it has, God willing, with Hashem's help, incredible positive implications on the family, on the child who's struggling, and on the whole family. Also, our children are sponges. Their brains are hardwired to just soak up everything, right? all of the messaging that we give them about who they are and how they're functioning in the world, the messaging that we give them around emotions, even, outwardly or even subconsciously, the way that we show up for them sends a message about what the world is like and who they should be in that relationship, right? And, often parents will say to me, when I speak to them, I want my child to be resilient. I want them to be emotionally balanced. I want them to be strong and empathetic and capable and thrive, in spite of all the pain they've been through. And then I ask them questions about their own emotional landscape, and their own inner world and how they relate to themselves. And they're like, "What? Me? I don't know. Like, I don't really think about these things. These aren't things that are important to me. Why are you asking me this question? I'm not the one who's struggling. It's my child, right? My child is the problem here, not me." And so I'm not saying this again. Please know that I'm not saying this from a place of judgment or blame or shame at all, really. Parents, like the sacrifice and the effort and the blood, sweat, and tears that we put into raising our children, like it is a beautiful, incredible, amazing job. Love being a mom. Did not know how much I would love being a mom and love it. Love it. A plus, 5 stars. It's also so hard. It's so hard and it demands so much of us. And part of what it demands is our ability to ride the waves of life. Our children, just by virtue of being children, right, when they're developing, they can be very triggering to us, right? Tantrums are overwhelming, right? When your child is chutzpahdik or lashes out at you, it is rough. It's rough out there, right? What is needed from us in those moments that they are totally losing it is to be a source of calm, safety, compassion, and love for them. How can we provide those things for our children if we don't feel them about ourselves? It ain't possible, guys. Like, I really wish it was. I wish I had, a magic stick where I could be like, here, problem solved. Doesn't work that way. One of the biggest gifts that we can give our children, whether they are struggling or not, and preferably we should not wait until they are in crisis to start giving them this gift, is to work on how we show up in the world. Ultimately, it starts with us, right? It starts with us. Think about how you show up in the world. Just close your eyes for a moment, think about it. When you feel, or rather, are you the type of person that when an emotional experience arises, you feel flooded by it and so dysregulated and disrupted and overwhelmed by an emotion? Do you find that you feel like you're in an emotional desert where it's hard for you to connect emotionally to things? Anger, sadness, disappointment, grief are those things that you shove away from you, right? Are you engaging in numbing of your emotions through drinking, drugs, online shopping, eating, um, cooking for Shabbos, running a business, etc., etc. Do you fall into a pattern of being dysregulated and disconnected from yourself and from others without necessarily having tools or skills to be able to ride those waves and then come back and feel a sense of regulation again? If you don't, first of all, it's okay, right? Just let's take this moment to be compassionate towards ourselves. If you're listening to this and you're like, oh no, I do all those things. I'm a terrible parent. No, 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 right? It's really important to have compassion for ourselves. We are all doing the best we can with the tools that we've had up until now. And so if these are things that you are engaging in, right? And if you do feel like your kids' emotions are so much too much for you, so you punish and hurt them and make them feel bad about their feelings, or you shut down and can't connect to them when they're feeling big feelings, or you disengage, or you numb in order to disassociate from how overwhelming and taxing it is. Our children are mirrors and they are getting that messaging and they are learning those skills from us. That's it. We are shaping them, right? There's this beautiful poem that I love by David White. I'm going to read you one part of the poem now. We shape ourselves to see the world, and by the world are shaped again. I'm going to read that again. We shape ourselves to see the world, and by the world are shaped again. What we see or experience in our environments shapes our inside, and that also like changes how we shape ourselves. So what we see, we absorb, we become, we project, etc., etc. It's a symbiotic relationship where there's this give and take. Dr. Daniel Siegel calls it an exchange of energy and information, right? We're we're getting information and energy in from what's around us, and then we're giving that back, and so on and so forth in this dance. Our children's challenges are going to be their own challenges because their destiny is their destiny, right? Like why they came into the world, with the challenges they came into with, and what they're going to face, that's not in our control. Okay, there is so little about our children's lives that are in our control. We bring them into the world and we nurture them, and then we set them free, and their destiny is what it's going to be. And I really genuinely believe that the way that we can set our children up for the most success in their lives is by the safe, loving, compassionate, kind relationship that we offer them in our care. And that extends way beyond when they're, officially cooked at 18 years old. According to brain science, is not even true, because child is an adolescent still has an adolescent brain until at least 25, if not older. I've heard some neuroscientists say 30. So I stick to that one because I think that there's a lot of people in their late 20s who still are in a developmental state, which is fine. But therein lies the point. We have so much time to help our children shape who they can become. But it really starts with us. That is the key here. And I'll extend this example a little bit of, what I share with parents when they call our warm line. Let's say that a child, God forbid, is struggling with a very significant mental health challenge, and what is needed for the sake of their long-term well-being is to be in a residential treatment program for 30 to 90 days. Okay? Great, beautiful. The child is willing to go, they put in the effort, they wake up every morning, they do the group therapy, they show up in that environment, and they feel like they're doing really well, which is awesome. And then the 90 days are over, or the 60 days are over, and they come home, or they return to school, or they return to the environments that may be not necessarily only these environments are a cause for their challenges, but could be exacerbating their challenges, could be triggers for them. And there's been no work done at home. How can we expect a 14, 15, 16, 18, 25-year-old kid, young adult, who has just learned these skills for the first time in their life over a period of 90 days to come home and continue to lead with those tools when it's not being modeled for them? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And so again, this is not about blaming parents, but what I'm telling you, dear, wonderful, incredible parents who are trying so hard to show up for your kids and are doing incredible, one of the biggest gifts that you can give your kid, no matter how old they are, is doing the inner work to strengthen yourself and build your own tools for resilience and emotional regulation so that you can model that for them, and so that you can walk alongside them and be a supportive, loving guide to them as they're navigating their challenges, right? We can't do the work for our kids. We can't walk the walk for our kids, but we can walk alongside them, and we should not underestimate how big that is, right? I am sure that many of you may remember this song that I remember hearing in Camp Ganustal when I was like in fourth or fifth grade in San Francisco, California. I'm obviously not going to sing it, but I will recite it. Don't walk in front of me, I may not follow. Don't walk behind me, I may not lead. Just walk beside me and be my friend. Okay, so change friend for loving adult figure, right? Parent, guardian, caretaker, even teachers. We have an ability to walk alongside our youth as they are navigating the very complex, wild roller coaster of being human. They're going to look to us to better understand who they need to be. But when they do that, what they need to see is what we want to model for them, right? And I just want to stress that I recognize how triggering, I'm saying this lovingly, but our children can be very triggering to us. They can be very overwhelming for us because you have this little body that is containing a lot of stuff and a lot of big emotions and no place to put it. So where are they putting it? On us, right? Because we're their parents, we're their safe space. So that means we're going to bear the brunt of their experiences. Obviously, that doesn't mean we need to be a schmata, but we are that safe harbor for them, right? they're going to look to us in those moments to understand who they need to be and how to show up. So how do we actually do that work? That is a topic for much, 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 much longer conversation, and we will definitely do a part 2 about this. But for now, and I did share a little bit about this when we spoke about emotional regulation recently, but I think that it's really crucial here as well. Strengthening our resilience in ourselves starts with bottom line foundational awareness, just becoming aware of how you relate to the world, stopping to take notice, stopping to take stock. Doesn't mean that every time you feel a feeling, you have to sit down with a journal and journal about it for an hour. Like, who has that time as a parent, right? Like, I'm lucky if I can write, for 5 minutes a day with one baby in my hand and peanut butter smeared all over my notebook. That's life right now, right? Learning to come into awareness of how you are showing up to the world is the first step to change, because you can't change what you don't know, right? So taking the time to learn to connect to, welcome, and tolerate your emotions. So tolerating your experiences, being in it, being in that discomfort. When you're feeling angry about something, pay attention. When you're feeling anxious, pay attention. Don't swat the anxiety away. Don't blow up immediately. Take a moment, a beat, 10 seconds, one breath, one eyes closed, methodical, aware breath. Learn to foster that mind-body awareness. It's crucial. Again, how can we give our children those tools if we don't have them ourselves? We can't mirror for them what we don't have. So, part of the life's work of being a parent is also like doing our inner work so that we can be the best parent for them, so that they can get the tools, those foundational tools that they need in order to thrive. Something that has been like a beautiful gift for me to witness in working with so many families over the years is this change that happens. And that when we learn to relate to ourselves in new ways and make sense of our experiences, make sense of our histories, we become those things if we do them enough, right? If we repeat those habits, they become who we are. So how do we change those patterns of who we are, right? We have to take time to take stock and figure out, how did I get here and what do I do with the information I have? And that's a unique journey for every parent. I'll put in a plug for our Resilient Roots parenting course. That's one way to do it. I love that class. I think that actually Resilient Roots is my favorite because I love empowering and helping families feel supported and taking the step to really understand their histories and do the journey and do the work of helping themselves build those skills so that they can heal. I really believe, and I have seen it firsthand, that when we learn to relate to ourselves in a new way, it will also empower us to see our children differently too, and empowers us to see them as a whole person, right? And not as the problem or challenges that they are exhibiting. So here's my final thought that I want to share with the parents who are listening. There's a reason why they call these things a practice, right? Like emotional regulation. When I work out, I do yoga. I call it a practice. It's a practice. The reason why it's called a practice, because it's not something you do one time. You're never going to have to do this again because you've done the work one time. You've paid attention to the way you're showing up in the world. You're paying attention to the way you're showing up for your kid, and you're good now. No, this is a practice. It's a lifetime of work. Okay. Also, being perfect is impossible. So if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, I now have to show up for my kid 100% of the time in this way, and if I don't, then I'm going to further mess them up. No, perfect is impossible. Most parents get it right about 30% of the time. 30% is doable. And when you mess up, because you will, because you're human, repair is always possible. And repair is actually a necessary part of being in relationship with people, being in a wise relationship with people. You mess up, you repair, you move on, and you grow from that, right? Really the way to go, which I don't believe in a lot of recipes or hard facts for the way to do things, because everyone is so unique in their own journey. This is a hard fact though. This is a hard line for me. Small things often. The way we bring ourselves into a state, healing and emotional balance and regulation, is to do small things often. So breathing. I tell people to set a timer for 1 minute every day and breathe and be present in their bodies. That 1 minute might feel like the longest minute of your life, but how do you learn to be in wise relationship with yourself? with a small thing that you do every day, right? Sitting down for 45 minutes once a week to meditate or do yoga, great, fine, okay. You want to have lasting impact and you want your brain to actually become changed, right? You want neuroplasticity to take root. Do it all the time in small ways, okay? And the other thing I really, I guess what this last message that I have for parents is your kids and your grandkids are so, so, so lucky to have you as the kind of adult that is willing to look in the mirror and say, this is how I'm showing up for my life. These are the tools I have. This may be how the tools that I have or don't have are impacting the people around me and my children. And so I'm going to take the time to learn and change and do better and improve so that I can live in wise relationship with myself and be there for my child and walk alongside them, giving them safety, love, security, compassion on their journey. Your kids and your grandkids are so lucky. You have no idea what kind of ripple effect across the generations your awareness can have. Really, truly. I believe it 100%. And now I actually want to turn my attention to everyone else who's listening. If you are an adult child, meaning you're an adult, but you're somebody's child, if you are a teen, if you are a parent, anyone who's listening to this, who's feeling like triggered, uncomfortable, a little griefy around this, thinking, well, I didn't get this from my parents. So how in the world am I going to give this to my kids if it wasn't modeled for me? It feels triggering sometimes, right? To recognize that, and painful. I think that's the word I'm looking for. Painful. It feels painful to hear about the importance of our children's needs being met and our ability to show up for them and be emotionally regulated and be kind. It's painful when we realize that we did not get those things. It really hurts. It's awful. It's a very griefy experience to say, wow, I'm wanting to do better for my kids, but here's, what wasn't done for me. And again, this is not about parent shaming. This is not, wow, my parents were terrible people. They couldn't give me these skills. They were doing the best they could with the tools they had. Maybe that was terrible, awful, horrific, abusive tools. That was what was in their wheelhouse. And it's really awfully painful to have not received that as a kid. It's terrible. So that grief is there, right? That grief can be there. And we need to take the time to have our grief about what was not given to us or what we didn't receive or the love and care and safety that was not possible for us as a child because of the families that we grew up in. Learned security, meaning learning to feel secure, loving, compassionate, whole in yourself is totally possible no matter what kind of upbringing you had and no matter what form of hell you went through. Not no matter. Here's the both and. Even with the horrible, painful, difficult, neglectful childhood that you may have had, it is still possible. It is totally still possible. As long as you are here, alive, breathing, waking up every morning, it is still possible for you to heal and to go into the world being the kind of adult that you would have needed as a child. Let's breathe into that. I'm going to share with you a quote from one of my favorite people in the world. And in our Resilient Roots parenting class, our 6-week parenting class, we actually use a lot of his music because I think that his music is super healing and has personally healed a lot of my inner child. Okay, so Fred Rogers. This is a quote by Fred Rogers. Love isn't a state of perfect caring. It's an active noun like struggle. To love someone is to strive to accept that person exactly the way he or she is right here and right now. That is what it means to love our kids. That is what it means to love ourselves. To love someone is to strive to accept that person exactly the way he or she is right here and right now. It starts with you. To the parents who are listening, to the adults who are not married yet or don't have children yet, who want to know, how do I start this journey so that I don't pass on my pain to my kids? Start by loving yourself imperfectly and learning how to show up in wise relationship for yourself. It is possible. You can do it. I know it's hard work. I hope I didn't make this sound like a super easy process. I recognize that it takes time to become the person you want to be, but it is possible. And you can start right now. Take 30 seconds after you finish listening or watching this show to be in wise relationship and awareness with your body. Close your eyes and breathe and see, does anything come up? Can you get curious about what you're feeling? Right? Not always is that going to be possible. I recognize that life is chaotic, but if you can find that 30 seconds, you're 30 seconds further along on the journey of healing than you were 30 seconds ago. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for taking the time to listen. I'm hugging all of you, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning in to Heart to Heart. If you or someone you love is struggling, please know there is hope and help is within reach. Since 2019, the Long Short Road has been walking alongside at-risk individuals, offering trauma-informed programs, a non-emergency hotline, and a community that fosters healing. No one has to go through this alone, and we are here for you. Discover how the Long Short Road is changing lives. Visit www.thelongshortroad.com or email us at info@thelongshortroad.com to learn more. You can be part of this mission. Sponsorship opportunities for Heart to Heart are available. Honor a loved one, support your community, and help us make mental wellness resources accessible to those who need them most. Until next time, remember, love and connection are the greatest healers. This is Lee Yaffe reminding you, hope is here, healing is possible, and you are never alone. Together, we're walking this long, short road to a brighter future.